Oh, yes, there ain't nobody. There's nothing better than playoff basketball. Coming up here on NBA Today, we're going to show you what Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, what they figured out, and why the rest of the league maybe should take notice of what's happening in New York City. And Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs, they advance, but on the other side of the bracket, the Lakers, they await their 2 stars. Don't worry, though. We have an update for you on Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. Plus, Joel Embiid, he turned back the clock and made sure to tell us all about it. We have his must-hear comments after avoiding elimination last night, and that is where we start our show, in TD Garden, with the Boston Celtics, hoping to close out the Philadelphia 76ers. But what do you call the Celtics, Brian Windhurst? The extenders?
They certainly have been like for the last decade.
They live by the 3, they die by the 3. And Amon, early on, they made a couple.
They did. They got cooking early, but they just level off after a couple of quarters.
So they were up by 7 at the half here, Perk. Going ahead to the third quarter, though. About 6 minutes left here. The Sixers down 3. Joel Embiid.
And all of a sudden, you got a heavy dose of him. Anytime you see him sealing and then going off the vert and snatching the screws out the rim is always a bright sign for all the Philadelphia 76ers fans.
Maxey for the deep 3 there. The Sixers keeping it close. Final seconds of the third.
Had a great floor game.
Maxey coming off the screen.
Great two-man game at that.
So the Sixers down 1 at the end of the
Playoff P.
George knocks it down.
Playoff P.
Well, in the good sense in this case. Tatum pulls up from 3 and just completely.
I don't know.
Completely misses
Did somebody open a window or a door?
Yeah, one of our producers just petty for putting that in the highlight there. So the Celtics, they ended this game by missing 14 consecutive
Lay on the table, Joel.
goals.
Just getting his ankles taped, laying on the table.
Joel Embiid, 33 points in this one. A kiss for his son Arthur. Boston fans heading for the exits early because Game 5, it belonged to the Sixers, but it was also a tale of 2 halves for Joel Embiid. He stopped shooting threes at all in the second half, and that's when he started to find his rhythm. He made 7 of 10 shots, and the Sixers outscored the Celtics by 21 points in his time on the court after the half. And after the game, Embiid, he took inventory of his night.
Copy.
The game plan was to, get up, as a team, get up, a lot of threes. So I kind of got sucked into that game plan, and then obviously when you miss a couple you got to adjust, and I just started going inside and, find some luck.
I was proud of him tonight, man. Like that's the dominance that you go into a playoff game with, and he did that.
I've dealt with a lot of stuff over my career, I don't complain. I know a lot of people might have takes of that I might be lazy or whatever, but whether I'm, good physical, mentally shape or whatever, I just want to enjoy these moments. Just being part of a basketball team, that's trying to accomplish something, and that's to win every single game.
Well, Joel Embiid, he said he needed a game to feel like himself again, and certainly, Brian, he looked like that last night.
I understand why they need to shoot threes against Boston. I understand that was the game plan, but you can get 3-pointers by using Joel Embiid, and that's what happened in the second half when he couldn't make any in the first half. And he went old school basketball and went back in there like he was, Wilt Chamberlain going up against Bill Russell back in the day. Look at the difference between the first half. And I honestly think that is misleading because he was shooting way farther from 16 feet. And once he got in there, guys, and was hitting those inside shots, it opened up those outside shots. One thing that happened in this game, despite all those interior baskets he made, the Sixers took more threes. They, of course, made more, but they even took more than Boston. That's the first time that that's happened in this series. And if they want to win another game, they need to go back to this and generate their 3-pointers inside out.
Well, first of all, it feels good to be back in the studio.
We saw that little wiggle.
Get situated in the studio. They got the extra boats under here to hold it up so it don't.
It does. It's Perk's chair on the back.
It do. But look, Joe Mazzulla said that he loved adversity. We know that Joe Mazzulla loved to fight. We know he loved to fight. Well, you talk about adjustments. He got hit with an overhead right? And when you think about Joel Embiid, look at the impact. Look at the spacing. Okay, you got the 2-man game with him and Maxey, and it comes into a post-up isolation. You got the whole weak side over there that's occupied, and now it's him and Vucevic on the island by itself. Straight tomato chest, 2 dribbles, I'm getting to the basket, reverse layup. Here you go again. Clear the side out. some misdirection on the weak side. This is not enough, Sam Hauser. Look at this footwork. Look at the shift of the shoulders, the wiggle right there. Look, Jordan-esque to the turnaround fadeaway. So when you talk about in-game adjustments, right, game-to-game adjustments, what is Joe Mazzulla going to do at this point? Because you come into this series, the whole game plan was, how am I going to stop Maxey? How am I going to stop Paul George? VJ Edgecombe, and now all of a sudden you got Embiid to deal with.
But I think that the biggest thing we saw was Tyrese Maxey went out there and controlled that. Like before in the previous games, it was just like anybody could shoot it. We don't care what's happening. We just trying to figure out offense. It seemed like he understood, hey, I'm going to have a better floor game. I'm going to be very conscious of when we need a bucket, who gets the ball, where do they get the ball, and how can I let them be successful. I thought he did a great job. He kept the turnovers down. He didn't shoot it great from three, but he went out there and took shots that he was supposed to take. He monitored their offense and said, hey, we're not going to have any cold spells, because if you have cold spells against Boston and they hit threes, you're out the game.
Well, what do we know? We know that Boston is better in the playoffs, and actually during the regular season, they are better on the road than they are at home. So if you're the Celtics right now, what's your level of concern, Perk?
I have some level of concern. You want to know why? It's because the Batman is not getting it done. Their Batman is not getting it done, and I'm talking about Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum hasn't been in his way. Jason Tatum actually played a solid game last night, but you also watch the Celtics are trusting Jaylen Brown, and rightfully so, to go isolation when the three-point shot is not falling. When Paul George and Kelly Oubre is guarding Jaylen Brown, he's 2 for 10. He was 2 for 10 last night. So he got to find a way to get it going. Because, again, they're going to live by the three, die by the three. But that in between, when you need those crucial buckets, they got to find a way to at least get a mismatch where they search out Tyrese Maxey or VJ Edgecombe to get those bigger wings off of Jaylen Brown so he could go to work and get his separation at that free throw line area.
Well, the Celtics have played this way for years. They won a championship playing this way. They're not going to change. But one thing I am a little worried about is Derek White. Derek White had the worst three-point shooting season, I think, of his career since he was a rookie. He's 7 of 33 in this series from three-point range. And, guys, when I watch him, it looks like he might be losing confidence a little bit, like he's not even looking for his shot. So they're going to need Derek White to have a game or two from three.
Well, if some way, somehow, this thing goes 7 and back to TD Garden, it's going to be tight in Boston. To the other series out east, that's where the Knicks, they were in New York.
Hope is restored.
Nick, always a Nick.
Hope is restored.
A lot of celebrities.
Where were you, Sean?
Tina Fey, Chalamet. 5 minutes left in the first. Karl Anthony Towns, you were calling for a big game from him, Shub.
There you go, man. Big fella getting involved. I just love that he's in so much playmaking action.
Josh Hart drives to the basket, can't get it done. Fell hard on his back after the foul here. Really took a tough hit. This was giving him some issues earlier in the season, too, so something just to keep an eye on there. 9 minutes left in the second. Towns.
I'm bigger than y'all.
Spinning around
I'm
Jalen
so much
Johnson.
bigger.
And they kind of feeling themselves a little.
Yeah, you know, Cat didn't put up huge scoring numbers, but the ball was, look at
Love
that.
that late pass.
The ball was in his hands in this game, Malika.
Nice two-man action here.
Blast action.
And this stood out to you here, Shub.
Yeah, because every time you do that blast action, people are now getting ready to prep for it. That's where Brunson gets you into that hesitation and can blow by. You're so worried about that blast action. 2 cutters, late pass.
Brunson with the Euro. He had 22 paint points. It's tied for his second most in a game in his playoff career. A minute later, Brunson pulls up.
This is what happens, though, man. You can't
knocks it down.
Plastic over the Brunson.
He has 39 points in this one. Friends, let's take a look at the
Plastic
Karl Anthony
over the
Towns.
flame.
Confidence is built in the work. So I think for us, we just understand what the situation is. The toughest game to win is the one that ends someone's season. So we got to be super disciplined. We got to execute at the highest level that we have in this series, and we got to be ready for a really tough game.
So, Shump, you know exactly what he's talking about, that the hardest game to close out is the one where you're looking to advance, and you know specifically what that's like for New York.
Yeah, it's one of them things, especially with New York, you inherit the history. Like I was a 21-year-old kid.
I see the Boston next to you is already.
You inherit. You inherit all the years that it didn't happen for New York, and when you get in those closeout games, I think
Boston ended it.
That starts being real. I mean, my Boston series in the playoffs with New York. We came out successful.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there, Sean, but you my dog. But look, I'm looking at a happy Karl Anthony Towns. We just saw his emotions. We know he's an emotional individual, loves to feel love, right? So when you think about what they're running, look at their sets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of FGAs last night, but the offense is running to him. Is that the delay action, the old delay action? What is this, Sean?
It's either the delay or it's going into that flex action. It's just Brunson never used it because the pass was available. You were just seeing it over and over. It looks like a 21 action. They get this little cut right here. They can either have two cutters. They can do a flex cut with a pop back. They can later on hit a late pass and go to a side ball screen. Everything that they do, it's like having a quarterback option if you playing in college. You just got all type of options.
And they tried using Dyson Daniels on Cat a little bit more in this game. It didn't really work. So when you're looking at adjustments as we look towards Game 6, what are you keeping an eye on, Brian?
Yeah, well, it's possible that the Hawks could just go to full guard play, and they could just put guards on the. Well, Buddy Hield came in the game and hit a couple of threes. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. They could just go straight guard play super small. From the Knicks, even though Towns only had 7 shots in this game, you look at Brunson with 23, Towns with 7, you'd like that to be a little bit more balanced. Towns had the ball in his hands. They were running action through Towns. This is actually the most he's had the ball in his hands in a playoff game in his career. You know what was second? The game before, Game 4. They're leaning into point center. This is the way forward. Let Cat be more involved, especially against the Hawks. They don't have bigs.
But it also allows you to still see Brunson. I think that the scary part for the Knicks was we want to use Cat more, but we don't want to use Brunson less. I think with Cat having the ball in that position, when he gets actions like that, you still get a second and third look. So Brunson has a chance as long as he cuts hard, they set good screens, he has a chance to get back open. So you love to see that.
I think we all agree Towns is the most important player to their success. Jalen Brunson is the best player. The X factor in this series has been Josh Hart. He locked up Jalen Johnson in Game 1 and 2. All of a sudden, C.J. McCollum got to cooking. He got that assignment, and he put him in the straitjacket last night. So, although we thought that should have been a Mikal Bridges who was having those defensive assignments, or OG Anunoby, Josh Hart actually has been the heart and soul of this team. He has been the heart and soul of this team and the X factor for the Knicks in this series.
The X factor, the Axe factor, the
he the factor. The it factor.
Performance from Victor Wembanyama in his first ever closeout opportunity. So here's how the Spurs finished off Portland. Remember Keldon Johnson? He receives his 6th Man of the Year trophy. And then the Spurs got to work. They wasted no time in this game. They remember getting down big in the last 2. Didn't want that to happen this time around. Victor Wembanyama.
Like that.
Hold on. The action started with him coming off a wide pin. That's what it started at 7'5", 7'6".
Nice little jumper there.
Right now he going downhill off a 1-4 pick and roll.
Wemby with the 3.
Followed his shot. You see that, kid?
And look, David Robinson can't believe what he's seeing. That's David Robinson. Little fake, spin.
Mark, where we going, man?
They tried to tackle him.
What
you just
doing,
watch this
man?
and say, you know what, I retired at a good time. Like, this is it. De'Aaron Fox.
Head Z.
I tell y'all about him, man.
Frozen.
I see he wearing that photo.
Under 4 minutes to play here. The Blazers down big. Denny Avdia drives. Wemby is there.
He did that.
Hey, go get that out the seats, man.
Spiking it into the stands.
Felix.
Spurs get the win. And Shaq had some thoughts on the big man last night.
I said this to you and the guy. I think Wemby is the first perfect big man that's ever created. Can shoot, free throws, play defense, play offense. He's a great team player. I'm happy for the Spurs. I'm happy for Wendy.
Did you say Wemby or Wendy?
He's not happy for me.
I'm happy for you, Wendy. And Wendy, how do you think that Wemby and the Spurs, did they prove something to you? Did they show something that you didn't know?
This was such a professional performance throughout this entire series. They had some adversity when they lost Wemby in Game 2. They went up to the Portland. They were down at half in both games, held their composure, came back and won. First closeout opportunity, took care of business right out of the gate. Then when Portland came back at them in the second half, they pushed it down like they'd done it 100 times before. LeBron James is going for his 17th first-round series win tonight, okay? 17. This is Victor's first. How many is he going to get?
Right.
It's going to be more than one.
Well, I said that the San Antonio Spurs are going to win the NBA championship this year. Not next year, this year. And you know what happened? Is that the only knock on them was their
Why
lack.
did that like help you?
It got me motivated. It was the only knock on them was their lack of experience. And what we saw in this series was these young pups grow into grown-ass men. The adversity in Game 3, Dylan Harper with 27 off the bench, crucial buckets in the fourth quarter on the road, and then Game 4 down double digits, and then you come home and you say, what? You know what? We're going to finish our food. And so you look at this roster, top to bottom. Yes, they have Vassell, Stephon Castle, Wemby, all these young guys. But then De'Aaron Fox, all of a sudden, the forgotten gem, comes alive and takes over when need be. And it's not forced. So when you look at this squad, you like, how can you not see that this is the only legit team that could dethrone the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I believe that they will. And you know how I feel about OKC, Malika. My jacket's still hanging up in the back. I ain't wore it a
For a while,
yet.
yeah, on Wednesdays he was wearing the OKC jacket.
I ain't dry
every
cleaned
Wednesday.
it or nothing. It's still,
that's
it
your
smells
business.
like cologne, though, but it's good.
Well, I really do think that they are the only team that's made up to move OKC out the way. I get that.
Yeah.
But to say that they could just move OKC out the way is insane to me.
Why?
Because it's not even about – because for me, it's the matchup that's bad. It's not about the experience. I think experience is going to come in at the end of the game when you got to deal with SGA. But I'm talking about 1 through 10 for how they play. They cancel out with the Spurs.
What's something? Let me ask you this.
There you go.
They did dominate OKC in the regular season.
The regular season is all well and good. It's a whole lot of basketball that, hey, Detroit was great the regular season. And Orlando was terrible.
Yeah, but Detroit ain't got him. And see, when you have an all-time great in Shaquille O'Neal that give Wemby that type of praise, because we all know Shaq worse than me when it comes to hating on people. He's a real hater. When you have an all-time great like this, you can't put nothing past him. And what's the one thing that OKC has laid the foundation for, or the blueprint, should I say? Having two-way players,
Without
big
doubt.
guards. What do San Antonio have?
Without a doubt. That's why I say it cancels out. The only question that comes in is Wemby and Chet. So I get what you're saying. But at the end of the game, I say it is. But at the end of the game, you got to outscore SGA. That's all I'm saying. It's still to do with the
These two are
Braves.
already in the conference finals. We've skipped an entire round in between. Let's go from one Texas team friend. The NBA seasons for LeBron James, and right now on ESPN.com, a piece that only Dave McMenamin could write. He's been covering LeBron every day for 12 years, and he's had these questions he's always wanted to ask him. So LeBron agreed to answer 23 questions in honor of 23 seasons, and these interviews, they spanned the entire year. So Dave McMenamin, he joins us now. Dave, your goal to find new ways to cover LeBron, to ask him new questions after so much time, I would say that is achieved. But one piece, of course, that's getting a whole lot of attention right now is when you were in Chicago, and of course, when you're in Chicago, you had to ask him about an all-time Chicago great, and that is Michael Jordan. So can you just tell us a little bit about how you came up with the question, what his reaction was to answering it? How did all this unfold?
Yeah, Malika, my goal was to actually have him talk about the aspects of his game that are better than Jordan's, just pure laid-bare opinion, no emotion in it, just analytically looking at him playing basketball and the parts that Jordan plays better than he does. Obviously, the conversation about the GOAT debate is going to follow, but LeBron is very reverential when it comes to Jordan. He wears number 23 since the time he was a child because Michael inspired him. He told me that Michael inspired me to be the guy taking the last shot, to wear sneakers like him, to fly through the air like him. He said when it comes to basketball, Michael, he admires his post game, his mid-range game, and his will and determination to win. But he said they're different players. LeBron is a point forward. He said Michael kind of likes to shoot. Oh, no, actually, Michael, he does shoot. And I look to pass. And beyond that, he said ultimately, though, he hopes that he made Michael Jordan proud wearing number 23 all these years. Maybe my favorite question of the 23, though, is I live with this pretty smart and inquisitive woman, and she's like, you should ask him what LeBron means. And so I, in Golden State this year, asked him the story behind the name LeBron, and he said it was his grandfather's friend's name, grandfather's best friend name.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Oh, hey, it's me. I'm smart and inquisitive. Thanks, hon. I appreciate that. I did think it was interesting that he said that that's something that he wanted to dive into after his playing career, to leave something to kind of be explored at that point in his life. I encourage everyone to read this. It's a great and unique story, but we got a game to talk about here, Dave. Game 5, Los Angeles Lakers, Houston Rockets. It's happening this evening. They're looking to close out this series, and Austin Reeves has been upgraded to questionable in this one. What's the likelihood that we're going to see him out on the floor?
Certainly all signs are pointing in that direction. It's going to come down to how his body feels throughout the day. He went through a full practice with the team on Tuesday. Now, the question is, once he is cleared, if he is cleared, I should say, what capacity will we see him? JJ Redick said there's been no determination made yet in terms of a minutes restriction. I think you have to look back to Austin coming back into the lineup in early February after missing the entire month of January with a calf injury. He came off the bench the first couple games and was able to still impact the game that way. With the way Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard have been playing this series overall, I think probably a smart way to go about things is to look at bringing Reeves off the bench in Game 5 if he is ready to go.
Right, and when you look at the turnovers of LeBron James over the last couple of games, having someone else who can help him with the ball handling responsibilities, it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Dave McMenamin, thank you very much for the insight. But right, it's not just Austin Reeves, it's Luka Doncic, who's also been out since that April 2nd game against the Thunder. So our senior insider, Shams Charania, is here with more. Shams, what's the level of optimism? We know that Reeves, you've reported that he may be back, but how far away is Luka Doncic here?
Malika, one source told me this week that Luka Doncic is on the slow path on his recovery in that grade 2 hamstring strain rehabilitation. And the expectation around the Lakers is if they are able to advance to face Oklahoma City in the second round, Luka Doncic will be out at the start of that series. There's still no clarity on a timetable for him. As we see right there, he is starting some on-court movement. He's continuing to improve on that. There's still some ways to go, though, for him to have full ramp-up of basketball activities.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so even for the second round, we could be looking at a delayed debut there. And then there's Kevin Durant on the Rockets side of all of this, Shams. We know that he's been ruled out for this game, but is there any optimism that if this series is extended that we could see him at some point?
Look, it seems more unlikely about a Game 6 if the Rockets are able to extend this back to Houston. And then you look at Game 7, if this does go to 7 as the potential opening of that. This is a bone bruise plus a sprain in that left ankle. In the regular season, I've covered Kevin Durant bone bruise injuries. It's usually about 2 weeks. And so this is a 2 to 3 week injury in the regular season. He's still dealing with stiffness, some swelling, a lack of mobility in that ankle. So look for the Rockets now to rely on their young core. Amen Thompson, Reed Shepard, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr. They're actually a plus 31 in their 61 minutes so far in this series.
All right, so Kevin Durant, even if this thing does go to 6 games, we may not see him even then. Shams, thank you very much for the insight. Don't go too far. We got more for you in just a little bit. But Shams mentioned it, right? Houston is going to have to continue to lean on their youth. And that quartet, Sengun, Thompson, Smith, Shepard, this is the number that Shams was just talking about. When they're on the court together, they've outscored the Lakers by 31 points in the series. And that has Jabari Smith feeling quite confident.
Stay with it, be us, be aggressive, play free. You know, we're obviously the better team, I feel like. So just knowing that, being confident, trusting our work, and just telling us to be us, you know.
We're obviously the better team, I feel like. Amon, what does the Lakers' mindset need to be to close this thing out?
You're at home. You need to knock out this game. Make sure you get this off the table while you got the chance to rest a couple of days now. You got an older LeBron. Get your rest. Make sure that you're on the table eating dinner with your family.
I can see why the Rockets are trying to build some confidence because they probably should have won Game 3. That was a ridiculous way to lose, and then they won Game 4 handily. They think they've got momentum. They also have a system that they're playing against LeBron. He's got 16 turnovers in 2 games, as you mentioned. They're going to apply that pressure. Let's see if Austin Reeves can alleviate some of that pressure tonight.
So do you think, Perk, that the Lakers close this thing out tonight?
Absolutely not. I believe that this is heading back to Houston, and they do have confidence, and I agree with Jabari Smith. They do have the better basketball team. It's just been the IQ part of it that's been the separation, and what we've seen over the last 2 games is that Houston has gotten back to their identity defensively. Right, being defensive pests, especially on the perimeter. You look at Game 4, they completely took Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard out the game. Both of those guys were held under 10 points apiece. And so when you think about their style and how they want to play, their level of physicality, he wasn't lying. All they got to do is continue to play team basketball. They were sharing the ball. Everybody was involved. All starters in double figures. That's how the Rockets got to play. And at this point, they're really playing with house money.
Without a doubt. But they only playing with house money because they missing the 30 points that we usually get out of KD, right?
Yeah.
On the Lakers side, right now, people are reacting a lot to LeBron having 8 turnovers. I'm not reacting like that. He's became the more primary ball handler. I think the turnovers go down a little bit just because he at home and he got energy now. You got to remember, those 2 emotional games back-to-back before we went out there and saw LeBron laying egg. He ain't just laying eggs.
I ain't say he was.
I won't say it. We ain't doing that.
I ain't say we was doing it.
Okay, I'm just making sure we don't.
Well, that game is at 7:30. It's on ESPN. And are you saying that they're not going to close out at all, or just not going to close out?
They're not closing out tonight.
Okay,
it's heading back to the H-Town.
I love that.
We do have a big developing
man.
story that's hung over the league all season long that we want to get to here. The NBA is taking another serious swing, not a perk-sized swing, at fixing tanking with a new draft lottery proposal. So Shams has reported what's being called the 3-2-1 format, and it would change the incentives here for future teams in the lottery. So Shams, can you explain this proposal, because it's got a lot of layers to it? What are the key components that we need to know?
Malika, flat out, this is Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, his attack on losing teams and having a system where, quote, you hate to lose and it's uncomfortable to lose. And so basically what we'll see here in a vote with the Board of Governors on May 28th is the draft lottery moving from 14 teams to 16 teams. Flattened odds, but most importantly, penalizing the bottom 3 teams. That's why it's called the 3-2-1 by names. That means the lottery balls per team. So the bottom 3 teams now will lose ping pong balls because they're the 3 worst teams. That's now going to be called the relegation zone. So instead of 4 balls or 3 balls like teams 4 through 10 might get in terms of 3 lottery balls, you're only going to get 2. So Adam Silver basically punishing the teams that are trying to lose or are the worst in the NBA. So there's not going to be relegation to the G League, but you are going to lose lottery balls. So the NBA believes, and officials around the league believe, this encourages teams 1 through 3 to try to win more so they're not in that relegation zone. 2 other interesting layers here. You're not going to be able to get back-to-back years with the top overall pick or have top 5 picks in 3 consecutive years. And so you think about teams like Oklahoma City back during the Kevin Durant era or the San Antonio Spurs as currently constructed right now, those would not exist under these new policies. And so this is expected to start in 2027 through at least 2029. Then it'll go up for a Board of Governors vote whether this will stay or leave.
All right, I want to bring Brian Windhorst into this. Thank you for explaining all of that, Shams. I understand de-incentivizing losing here, Brian, but at the same time, there are teams that are just bad that now, not in glamour markets, that don't really have any upward mobility. So how much do you think this is actually going to help the tanking issue? Because that's the issue here. It's the tanking piece.
Well, this is an overcorrection. And the league knows it's an overcorrection because, as Shams just said, they're only committing to it for a couple years. Because they know that it's going to be, kind of out of control. But they're basically dealing with a bleeding wound and they're triaging it. They had 9 teams by the end of this year that were tanking. And they're trying to put the end to that. I do think this will stop that. I also think that next year that was naturally going to be fewer teams tanking for various reasons. So
the draft's not the team.
Yeah, I do think it does incentivize winning. That is better than the previous models. I assume Adam Silver wouldn't have rolled this out unless he has support from the 23 votes he needs from the 30 owners.
Right.
I assume that. However, I think if you're a small market team and you get bad, the only way you can get better is by getting top draft picks. And I would be reticent to vote for this. And the small market teams tend to block vote. But Adam, I'm sure has had those conversations. I suspect this will be a short-term fix.
Well, as Shams mentioned, the next thing that needs to happen here is this goes up to a vote. Shams, thank you very much for explaining that to us. Let's get back to the games, the playoff. We have 2 more huge playoff games tonight, so it's time for a little full-court press, checking in with some of our reporters, starting in Detroit. Backs against the wall here for the 1 seed, the Pistons, but there's some doubt that the Magic will have one of their stars, Franz Wagner. Young Masuka's there. What's the latest on Wagner's status?
Malika, this is a significant development for the Orlando Magic. Franz Wagner did not participate in the morning shoot-around with a right calf strain, and he is unlikely to play tonight. And I would say his status moving forward, if the Pistons are able to extend this series, is also going to be uncertain. I watched him walk out of the arena very gingerly. Paolo Banchero said that the team is expecting not to have Wagner tonight. On the other side, the Pistons remain as confident as when they won 16 wins. Jalen Duren basically saying, I still feel we are the better team top to bottom.
Well, they have to show that right now. Ohm, thank you. Now to Cleveland. We're going to check in with Cavs Corner. Brian Windhorst, you're plugged in on all things Cavaliers. They've dropped both games in Toronto to even the series. What's their mindset heading into Game 5?
There was a startling lack of concern coming from the Cavs after they blew Game 4, which they did. They're up 8 points with 4 minutes to play, and the Raptors just took it from them. James Harden, in the last 4 times he's been in a Game 5, Malika, where it's 2-2, where the chips are on the table, 33% shooting, 12 points a game average. That's not going to get it done tonight. They're going to need some offense. They're going to need to also unlock their bigs. Their big men, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, did not have impactful games up in Toronto.
Well, it's also been what the Raptors defense, Brian, is doing to James Harden. Of course, defense is they're calling hard, but the adjustment is big. Jamal Shed has drawn the assignment, and he's wreaked havoc. But there's someone on this panel who called this before the season even started. Who might that be?
Previously on Jurassic Park.
A big perk. That sounds like a job for a big list of who is a beast of the Eastern Conference.
Coming in at number 5. Bam! Put it up there. The Toronto Raptors. I have them making the playoffs this year, being a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. Brandon Ingram, R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Scottie Barnes. A lot of people are sleeping on the Raptors. I am not.
Simply majestic.
Hello, world, and happy Wednesday. Damn it, you can call me Big Perk, Kendrick, or Jurassic Perk. And the reason I earned this name is because I've been trusting these boys before the season. And now they're 2-2 in this series against the Cavs. And it's because of a young man that I consider a top 5 two-way player in the game, but somebody else consider him with a high ceiling as well. Take a listen.
I expect more from Scottie. Scottie's going to bring more. Scottie right now, the way he's playing, he's at 60% of a player that he's going to be in 2-3 years. Scottie's going to be one of the best players in the league.
And he ain't lying, because he's giving me Giannis Antetokounmpo type vibes. This is Evan Mobley, who won Defensive Player of the Year a few years ago. All of a sudden goes through his chest to the basket to complete the mission and get a crucial bucket. Here it is. After a made free throw, I want you to look at Scottie Barnes and watch this activity. They try to pick him up full court. He sees the whole floor. It's only a few players in the league that could do what you're about to witness, and that's Giannis, Wemby, and Scottie Barnes that could do this right here, go coast to coast, take out outside the dots, and snatch the screws out the rim. Here he is on the other side of the floor. By the way, he's been guarding the hell out of Donovan Mitchell, guarding him the most, him and James Harden. This is what he do. Two-way player, gets a stop, blocks it against the glass, keep it inbounds, and guess what? They off to the races. He has guarded James Harden, he has guarded Donovan Mitchell, and he has brought up the basketball the most out of any other player on the Raptors. When you talk about two-way players, when you talk about a guy that has a high ceiling, Scottie Barnes, I expect him to carry his game from the 6 on to Cleveland tonight in Game 5 and get it done. Same matter.
Speaking of Game 5s, LeBron has played in 40 of them in his playoff career. So our producers hit the task to dig out his top moments. We're going to start in 2006. This is Game 5 against the Wizards. LeBron baseline.
His first ever Game 5.
And his first career playoff game winner to boot.
Rip and go. Rip and go.
Were you
of course
there,
I was
Brian?
there. What kind of question is that?
All right, now to 2018. This buzzer beater to beat the Pacers. He tortured the Pacers.
I was right there on the sideline in a nice suit. Well, I mean, you should see me in a minute.
Oh, no,
that's what this is about, Perk. It's about you. And you can forget this. His 25 points in 2007. This is the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pistons.
This is the Game 5.
Lebanon James.
The 48 special.
He's looking to add to that legacy at 41